Hello and welcome to Euphoria. Well, we've made quite a few changes to the city layout recently, including the addition of the new town hall in prime position on the main plaza. Whenever we make changes to the city layout, there's an opportunity to change and improve things. So today, I want to look again at the old town area in the Lego City and see what we can do to develop the layout a bit more in this area. There's been quite a few major changes to the city layout recently, due mostly to the creation and introduction of the new town hall. We moved the brick bank and laundrette away from its prime location on the main plaza and placed it in the old town area. We installed the new town hall in its rightful place, facing squarely onto the plaza. We created this new space, or little square, next to the old astronomical clock tower. We moved the pet shop modular building over to this side of the layout, where it fits neatly next to this apartment building. I spent some time recently fixing the side of that building, which is one of my own creations, and now you can't see that at all, but never mind. And we repositioned the Honeydukes sweet shop and created this street in the old town. There's such a lot to do. I'm making a few shorter videos about the changes, although with so much to do I'm not sure they'll be that short. So this will be the first video and we'll cover the old town area, mostly around this new street and the new square in the old town. I'll do a separate video about updates and improvements that we want to make to the main plaza in the centre of the city. And then lastly we'll look at the business district on the right hand side of the city. First we're going to look at this street in the old town. This isn't really how I originally envisaged the old town, and I may make some further changes and additions, but this street sort of grew organically out of the changes we made to make room for the new town hall. So this is meant to be a narrow street in the old part of town. I want to keep it as an old-fashioned street that isn't really wide enough for traffic, so it will be a pedestrian-only zone. As it's part of the old town, we're going to use a different paving scheme to give this area a different feel. I did wonder about using small tiles, different shapes, and so if we take the Parisian restaurant out of its position in the city and onto the build table, then we can work out the paving for the back. I love this Parisian restaurant modular building set from Lego, but you normally see the front of the building. Here we're going to be dealing with the back, which just has an area of bare base plate. So I'm paving this with dark tan or sand yellow 2x2 tiles, the same as those outside the sweet shop, right up to the back of the base plate where they'll form part of the street at the back. I'm not quite sure what to do with this blue dumpster which is outside the back of the restaurant. It is a bit of an eyesore. On the other hand, there's kind of nowhere else to put it, and you do often see rubbish bins or trash cans in these old streets where there's nowhere else to put things. So, although it's rather unsightly, I'm going to repave this area and then keep the dumpster just outside the back of the restaurant. I'm just giving this a quick clean before I put it back in the city. Dust is always a problem with Lego on display, so it's good to have the chance to dust this off while it's out here. There's no doubt this is a beautiful set with all the interior details as well, including the atelier in the attic, accessible through this clever roof design at the back. The architectural details on the outside are gorgeous, with really interesting build techniques such as these decorative frames built sideways and the use of these croissant pieces in white. It's a shame we don't often get to see the interiors, which include the apartment on the first floor with its fold-down bed, and all the details in the restaurant on the ground floor, including a fully equipped kitchen in the back. In my opinion, this is one of the finest of the modular building sets from Lego, and although it's a retired set, it's well worth looking out for one if you can. Okay, so now we can put this building back into the street. I quite like having this line of tiles down the middle of the street. Often in these old streets there's a gully in the middle to take the water, so I think we'll keep the little drains that are in or next to the gully so that they can take the rainwater away. Now we've put the restaurant back, I rather like this arrangement of the Parisian restaurant, as the nice little terrace or seating area upstairs overlooks the little square and the old astronomical clock tower. So it's a nice location for a meal in the picturesque area of the old town. So I don't want to do anything with this street that blocks any of that view. Now we'll just take a quick look at streetlights for this part of town. We've discussed streetlights before, as I have certain styles of lampposts that I use in the main plaza. They are white, and some of them have multiple arms and lanterns. However, in the old town area, I want to have more old-fashioned lampposts and lanterns. It might be nice to have some of those wall-mounted lamps for some parts of the city, and I might see if I can develop something to create that sort of look. But for now, we'll be using lampposts in this dark green colour, for this street at least. They were introduced to the LEGO lineup in 2019 as part of the Central Perk set. We won't be doing anything too fancy for these lampposts, so I'll just be using this arrangement with the addition of a gold plate similar to the ones used in the main plaza. Unfortunately, there isn't a small dish available in dark green yet to match the lamppost, so I'm going to have to use black ones for the cap at the top. I did wonder about using 3x3 dishes like this for the top, but they're also not available in dark green, and I think they look a little large. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now we're going to take out the bank and laundrette to have a look at those. So here's this mock again. It's a conversion of the LEGO brick bank modular from a corner building to a straight modular building on 1.5 base plates. I'll put a link in the card above to the video about how I did that conversion. Here we're going to repave the pavement outside the bank and laundrette using the same dark tan 2x2 tiles, and we need to work out what to do with these little details in the paving in front. It turns out that I don't really need to change this bit outside the laundrette. For this part, outside the brick bank, I decided to change the paving to a simple pattern of dark bluish grey and white squares to reflect the same pattern on the interior of the bank. Now, with the paving completed, I can put the brick bank back in position in the street. Oh, I think there's a problem that I hadn't noticed before with this bench outside the bank, as it's blocking the narrow way past the fountain in the side of the old astronomical clock tower. So I'm removing that, and perhaps we can use that nice bench somewhere else. So now that leads us along to look at the end of the street, outside the Katie Corner house and the back of the townhouse. At the end of the street, we have the so-called Katie Corner house. Let's just take it out and have a look at it. This mock was a bit of an experiment in creating a building at an angle. The building itself was just an experiment with some different build techniques, using bricks that I had available, including trying out this round window extension on the side. To build it at an angle, I've made a layer of some tiles. They're just random colours that I found on the pab wall, with a few studs in that layer in 1 or 2 key locations. The house is built on a set of plates that acts as a floor, and that kind of just sits on the base plate at an angle. I'm not entirely happy with how that worked out. Anyway, I'll keep this building for now, so I'm going to repave the area in front of the building in the dark tan that I'm using for the rest of the old town. I'm not sure about this building really, although I actually quite like the facade as it turned out, although the colours of the doors and windows are a bit random. I'll put this building back in the corner here until I get some ideas for a better design. Now we'll pave the area at the back of the townhouse. This is one half of the pet shop modular building, and like most modulars, there are fewer details and no pavement at the back of the building. As there are some steps up to the back door, what we'll do is just put a little fence at the back here to create a small area of garden. Then the rest of the space behind the townhouse can be used for part of the street. I've added some black fencing, similar to the black fencing that's used at the front of the building, and I've added a specimen flowering plant into that space at the back. So we can pave the rest of the back here with the same paving as the rest of the street. And now we can put the townhouse back as well. So the new paving at the back joins up with the new paving outside the Katie Corner house on the opposite side of the street. So that's the paving complete for this street in the Old Town area of the city. I quite like the way this street has worked out, with the variety of older buildings and the new different style of paving. In some ways, having the old astronomical clock tower and the fountain kind of stick out into the street, and then have the Katie Corner house at the back at an angle, makes quite a good kind of end point to the street, as it's forced to go round the back of the old astronomical clock tower. That means that if you're looking along the street from this end, it sort of narrows and looks like it goes round the corner, and it's not as obvious that the street actually ends at the wall here. This street really needs a name. What should we call this street in the Old Town area of the city? I quite like the idea of calling it New Street, even though it's in the Old Town. It's kind of ironic, but you often get New Street. Next, and probably last for this part of town, we're going to look at the little open area which we created recently between the main square and the old astronomical clock tower. This isn't a huge area, so there isn't room to do too much here. We don't want another building here, because really we want to keep an open area in front of the fountain, as this is an important historical feature of the town. We could perhaps pave this area and add some seating, flowers, or maybe a small tree, but I don't want to make it too cluttered, so it can still act as a circulation space. It might make sense to move the Princess Catherine monument into this space. That monument was always meant to mark the entrance to the old town, and it did that in the previous city layout. But with recent changes, it's rather been left behind in the wrong place. So it would make sense to move it to about here, where it would once again stand between the old town. So that's all the changes to the old town area of the city for the moment. We've paved the new street in the old town in the dark tan tiles that I wanted to use for the old town area. We've added the more traditional style of street lamps with their dark green lampposts. We moved the Princess Catherine monument from its old position on the main plaza to a more suitable position where it once again marks the entrance to the old part of town. And we've completed the little square, which provides a much nicer setting for the bank building and the fountain in the wall of the old astronomical clock tower. Let me know what you think about these changes to the old town area. And if you have any ideas for what to call the new street in the old town, just let me know in the comments below. Next, I'll be moving on to look at the next set of improvements to the main plaza. So look out for more videos about further changes to the city. Don't forget to help the channel by hitting that like button and hit the bell button to be notified of new videos. And subscribe to the channel to see more about my mocks, other builds and ideas, and updates on my LEGO City.